In the dim glow of the evening sun filtering through the grand windows of his sprawling mansion, Alexander Voss, the self-made millionaire whose empire spanned tech conglomerates and real estate fortunes, paused at the threshold of his kitchen door, his hand frozen on the polished brass handle. What he witnessed shattered the sterile silence he had grown accustomed to. His 10-year-old son, Max, who had barely uttered a full sentence since the day his mother vanished 5 years ago, was twirling awkwardly but joyfully across the tiled floor, his small hands clasped in those of Maria, the unassuming cook he had hired just months earlier. Music from an old radio filled the air, a soft melody of strings and piano that evoked forgotten memories. In Max's face, usually etched with the shadows of isolation, bloomed with a rare, genuine smile as Maria guided him through simple steps, her own movements graceful yet restrained, like a bird testing wings after a long captivity. Alexander's heart clenched. He had spent fortunes on therapists and specialists to draw Max out of his shell, a shell forged from the trauma of abandonment, yet here was this stranger, this quiet woman with her apron dusted in flour, unlocking something in his boy that no amount of money could buy. But as he watched, hidden in the doorway's shadow, Alexander had no inkling of the profound secret Maria carried, a truth that would unravel the very fabric of his carefully constructed life and force him to confront the ghosts he had buried deep. If you believe in the power of kindness and the beauty of second chances, hit that like button, drop a comment below sharing your thoughts, share this video with someone who needs a reminder of humanity's warmth, and don't forget to subscribe to Kindness Speaks for more stories that touch the soul. Alexander Voss had built his world on precision and control, rising from the gritty streets of a small industrial town where his father labored in factories until his back gave out, and his mother scraped by on odd jobs to keep food on the table. By 30, Alexander had coded his way to his first million, founding a software company that revolutionized data analytics for corporations worldwide. And by 40, his net worth soared into the billions, with mansions in 3 countries and a private jet at his beck and call. Yet, amid the boardroom triumphs and gala toasts, his personal life lay in ruins. His wife, Elena, had disappeared one stormy night 5 years prior, leaving behind only a cryptic note about needing to find herself after a miscarriage that had shattered their dreams of expanding their family. In truth, Alexander had adopted Max shortly after, a quiet boy from an orphanage whose wide eyes reminded him of the child they had lost, hoping the adoption would mend the gaping wound in their home. But Elena's departure had only deepened the chasm. Max, already prone to withdrawing into silence due to what doctors vaguely termed selective mutism triggered by early trauma, retreated further, his days filled with solitary play and nights haunted by unspoken fears. Alexander threw himself into work, hiring nannies and tutors who came and went like seasonal winds, none able to pierce the boy's armor. The mansion, with its echoing halls and priceless art, felt more like a museum than a home, a testament to success that masked profound loneliness. Then came Maria, responding to a discreet ad for a live-in cook, her resume sparse but her references glowing with praises of her culinary skills and gentle demeanor. She was in her late 30s, with soft brown hair tied in a practical bun, eyes that held a quiet wisdom, and a slight limp that she dismissed as an old injury from clumsy days. Alexander barely noticed her at first, approving her hire through his assistant, but over the weeks, the aromas wafting from the kitchen, rich stews simmered with herbs, fresh breads that evoked childhood comforts, began to infuse the house with a warmth it had long lacked. Max, who typically picked at his meals in silence, started lingering at the table, drawn perhaps by the subtle stories Maria wove into her cooking, tales of far-off places whispered so softly they seemed part of the steam rising from the pots. As the days turned into weeks, Alexander's absences grew longer, his empire demanding endless hours in glass towers where deals were sealed with handshakes worth fortunes. He justified it as providing for Max's future, but deep down, guilt gnawed at him like a persistent ache, the knowledge that he was failing as a father, unable to bridge the emotional gulf that Elena's leaving had created. Max's school reports painted a picture of a bright child trapped in isolation, excelling in math and art but avoiding playground interactions, his teachers noting how he flinched at loud noises and preferred the company of books over peers. Therapy sessions yielded little. The boy would sit staring at the floor, his small fingers twisting the hem of his shirt, offering only nods or shakes of the head. Alexander poured money into solutions, private lessons, sensory toys, even a custom playroom designed by child psychologists, but nothing stirred the light in Max's eyes. Returning home late one evening, briefcase heavy with contracts, Alexander heard the unfamiliar sound of laughter echoing from the lower floors, a child's giggle pure and unfiltered. Intrigued, he descended quietly, following the trail to the kitchen where, for the first time, he glimpsed Maria and Max in their secret world. She had cleared the center island, pushing stools aside to create an impromptu dance floor, and an old cassette player, something she must have brought from her modest quarters, played a waltz that filled the room with nostalgic grace. Max, hesitant at first, mirrored her steps, his sneakers scuffing the tiles as she encouraged him with gentle corrections, her hands steady on his shoulders. Alexander retreated without interrupting, a mix of gratitude and unease stirring within him. Who was this woman, really, to elicit such joy from his son? He began observing her more closely, noting the way she hummed tunes while chopping vegetables, melodies that tugged at half-forgotten memories from his own past. Suspicion crept in his world of cutthroat business, trust was a luxury, in Maria's background check had revealed little. A string of low-profile jobs in diners and homes, no family mentioned, her origins traced to a rural village he had never heard of. Yet, as Max's demeanor shifted subtly, his posture straightening, a spark of curiosity in his gaze during dinner, Alexander felt a reluctant pull toward hope, even as questions mounted. The changes in Max were gradual, like dawn creeping over a shadowed valley, but they accumulated with undeniable force. Where once he shunned physical contact, now he allowed Maria to ruffle his hair affectionately after a well-cooked meal, and his drawings, previously stark landscapes of empty rooms, began incorporating figures, stick people dancing under colorful skies. Alexander, catching these glimpses during rare weekends at home, felt a pang of envy mingled with relief. He tried engaging Max himself, suggesting board games or outings to the park, but the boy would retreat, his eyes darting away as if the weight of his father's expectations was too heavy to bear. Work demands escalated, a merger that promised to double his company's value consumed his days, leaving him exhausted and irritable. One night, after a grueling negotiation that ended in victory but left him hollow, Alexander returned to find the kitchen alive again with music. This time, he lingered longer in the shadows, watching as Maria demonstrated a simple spin, her body moving with an elegance that belied her limp, and Max attempted to follow, stumbling but persisting with a determination Alexander had never seen. The boy's laughter rang out when he succeeded, a sound that pierced Alexander's chest like a long-lost melody. But as Maria turned in the dance, her profile caught the light, and a flicker of recognition stirred in Alexander, something about the curve of her jaw, the way her eyes crinkled with warmth. Shaking it off as fatigue, he slipped away, but sleep evaded him that night, his mind replaying the scene. The next day, he instructed his assistant to dig deeper into Maria's past, requesting discreet inquiries through private investigators. Reports trickled in. Maria had no criminal record, but her life before the last decade was a blank slate. No school records, no social media footprint, as if she had emerged from thin air. Alexander's unease grew. Was she hiding from something? Or someone? Meanwhile, Max blossomed under her influence, his selective mutism easing as he began whispering questions to her about the dances, where they came from, why they made him feel light inside. Maria answered patiently, her voice a soothing balm, sharing snippets of a life filled with rhythm and loss, though she never delved too deep. Tension built like storm clouds gathering on the horizon as Alexander's investigation unearthed fragments that puzzled him further. An old photograph from a charity event years ago showed a woman resembling Maria, but with flowing hair and a dancer's poise, listed as a performer in a local ballet troupe. The name was different, Elena Petrova, but the resemblance was uncanny. Elena, the name of his vanished wife, sent a chill down his spine. He dismissed it at first. His Elena had been vibrant, an aspiring dancer he met in his early 20s when he was still scraping by, their love story a whirlwind of passion amid poverty. They married young, dreamed big, but after the miscarriage, cracks formed, her depression, his obsession with success pulling them apart until she left. Could Maria be? No, impossible. Elena had sent divorce papers from abroad, or so he thought, though he never pursued confirmation, too wounded to chase ghosts. Yet doubt festered. At home, the dances continued in secret, Max now initiating them, pulling Maria into the kitchen after homework with eager tugs on her sleeve. She taught him not just steps but stories woven into the movements, how dance could express what words failed to convey, how it healed invisible wounds. Max's confidence spilled over. At school, he joined a group project without prompting, his teachers emailing Alexander with astonished praise. But Alexander's world teetered. A business rival launched a smear campaign, accusing him of unethical practices, forcing him into damage control that kept him away longer. In his absence, Maria and Max's bond deepened, her limp more pronounced on rainy days, a hint of pain she masked with smiles. One evening, Alexander returned unannounced, storming in amid thunderclaps outside, only to find them mid-dance, Max's face alight with joy. This time, he didn't hide. "What is this?" he demanded, his voice sharper than intended, freezing the scene. Maria stepped back, composure cracking for a split second, while Max retreated behind her, the light fading from his eyes. The confrontation lingered in the air like unspoken accusations, Alexander's words hanging heavy as he questioned Maria's intentions, his protectiveness over Max clashing with the gratitude he couldn't fully suppress. She apologized softly, explaining it was just a way to help the boy unwind, but her eyes held a depth that unnerved him. That night, alone in his study, Alexander pored over the investigator's latest findings. Maria's real name was indeed Elena Voss, his Elena, who had not fled to find herself but had vanished after discovering a life-altering truth. The miscarriage hadn't been their first loss. Years earlier, before their marriage solidified his success, Elena had given birth to a son in secret, during a time when Alexander was consumed by startups and she by dance auditions. Overwhelmed by postpartum struggles and financial despair, she had placed the baby for adoption, a decision that haunted her, driving a wedge between them. The miscarriage later amplified her guilt, leading her to leave, believing Alexander deserved better. But fate twisted when she learned, through anonymous channels, that Alexander had adopted that very child, Max, without knowing his origins. Diagnosed with a rare, progressive illness that caused her limp and promised a shortened life, Elena had reinvented herself as Maria, seeking employment in his home to be near her son in her final years, teaching him dance as a legacy, the art that had once defined her before injury and heartache stole it away. The revelation hit Alexander like a tidal wave. He confronted her the next day, documents in hand, his voice trembling with betrayal and dawning understanding. Maria, Elena, didn't deny it, tears streaming as she confessed her secrets, the pain of abandonment not out of selfishness but self-sacrifice, her illness a ticking clock that made every moment with Max precious. The days that followed were a whirlwind of emotions, Alexander grappling with anger at the deception, sorrow for the years lost, and a profound empathy for Elena's silent suffering. He watched her with Max anew, seeing the maternal love in every gesture, the way she poured her fading strength into teaching him spins and leaps that symbolized resilience. Max, sensing the shift, clung to her more, his words flowing freer as if the truth unlocked hidden doors within him. Alexander canceled meetings, prioritizing family for the first time, joining their dances awkwardly at first, his polished shoes out of place on the kitchen tiles, but persistence bridging the gaps. Therapy sessions transformed. With Elena's encouragement, Max opened up about his fears, the abandonment echoing her own regrets. As Elena's health waned, doctor visits confirming the illness's advance, the trio forged memories, outings to parks where Max danced freely, evenings filled with stories of Elena's ballet days, her triumphs on stages now distant. Alexander used his resources not for empire building but for seeking treatments, though hope dimmed. Suspense mounted with each hospital update, emotions cresting in quiet moments, Elena's hand in his, Max's head on her lap, the family circle closing against time's cruelty. In a poignant climax, during a family gathering Alexander organized, Elena led a final dance in the grand ballroom, Max partnering her with growing grace, Alexander watching with tears, the music swelling as past wounds healed in rhythm's embrace. As Elena's days dwindled, confined to bed but surrounded by love, she whispered to Alexander of forgiveness, urging him to carry on the dances with Max, to nurture the boy's spirit as she had. Her passing came peacefully one dawn, the mansion hushed in grief, but the legacy endured. Max, now verbose and vibrant, excelling in school dance programs, his father's constant companion in a life redefined by presence over possession. Alexander, transformed, downsized his empire, founding a foundation for adoptive families and arts therapy, channeling his wealth into mending broken bonds. The kitchen, once a place of secrets, became a sanctuary of remembrance, where father and son danced to old tunes, feeling Alina's spirit in every step. In the end, what began as a hidden glance through a doorway blossomed into a testament to redemption, proving that love, disguised and delayed, could rewrite even the most fractured tales. If this story has touched your heart, stirring emotions of love, loss, and the unbreakable bonds of family, please like this video, share it with those who need its message, and subscribe to Kindness Speaks for more tales that remind us of life's fragile beauty. Before we end, I have a special request. Comment below with the line, "Kindness dances in the shadows," if this story moved you to believe in hidden miracles.